So, good morning, Mr. Hardy.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me. The purpose of our meeting is to do some feedback based on the observation that I did with you and Miss Matchett.
Okay.
I want to begin by giving you some praise. When I was in your room, the majority of the students were really engaged in the activity that you were doing. I believe you were using Kahoot.
Yeah.
They were really eager to see their results, and they expressed appropriate, reactions or emotions once the results were revealed. They were either excited about getting it right or disappointed and wanted to know what they did wrong.
Right.
I was really impressed to see that you had several students who've been in my office for different discipline reasons this year, but they were really engaged with what you were doing, and they were able to explain their answers to me. And they also expressed excitement when they got it right, which was rewarding to see the kids that are disciplined not being the ones that were academically challenged, because
Right.
that's normally what you find. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And another thing I wanted to praise you for was when you, after the results were revealed, you explained how to do each problem. So for those kids who got them wrong, you provided some support there. They were able to, and you used different methods when you explained it. So another kudos to you. But I was wondering how you determined that Kahoot would be the tool that you would use for your lesson that day.
So, one being that the demographic that, I have in my classroom, the population, they're driven by games. Kahoot is game-based. So I knew that, one, that they would be engaged, and two, it was a good way for them to review, to prepare for our assessment.
Okay. Good. Do you think you're going to use Kahoot again in the future? Do you think it wasn't effective?
I think so. Like I said before, they were engaged and able to receive immediate feedback on whether they got it wrong or right, and then with me giving the explanation, that also helped them to process things a little bit better. And when I got done explaining some of the things, they were like, oh, okay, that's what I did wrong. So I think going forward, that would be a good, strategy and activity to use.
Well, I think you should use it because they definitely enjoyed it, and they also expressed a desire for their other teachers to use it. So I hope that you will keep that one in your toolbox of strategies and tools. So when I was in there, I noticed that, while you were explaining how to do some of the problems once they got the answers right, I also noticed Miss Matchett walking around working with not really walking around. She had a small group that she worked with throughout the activity and providing that support that they needed. But there was a young lady, she was really disengaged. Initially I thought, what's her problem? Is this a discipline concern? Because she was just slouched down in the seat. So I asked her what was wrong, and she just said, well, I don't know how to do it. So I sat with her after our time was up, and that's when I realized she didn't even know where to begin. She didn't know how to set the problem up or anything. So the process was completely lost on her. So after some one-on-one with her, going over a couple of problems together, she started to get it right. And then I let her do it on her own, and she was getting the answers right. So I was wondering, what do you think you could have done differently to reach students like her in the class?
I'll say two things. The first one being, like you said, Miss Matchett was working with her, but I also could have been walking around and assisting students that need that extra support with, whether it be setting the problem up or getting stuck in the process of solving a problem. So that's one, more walking around, more support. And another one I can think of would be probably to base first, because it was individual. It was an individual activity, so maybe create teams and then group them and put them in teams based on ability. So I compare the higher level students with the lower level students, and they're able to work together to solve and figure out the answer to the problem. And maybe there's something that working in groups that the higher level students can teach the lower level students, okay, this is how I got this, or this is how I remember to do this on, particular problems.
I'm glad you said all that, because that leads into something that I thought we could work on. While you had differentiation in the lesson, when you were providing different methods of explaining it to them or how to solve it, I like what you said, about some different things you could have done. But we also could use Kahoot, the results, to play in your next lesson, because based on the way they performed, it was evident that some clearly still didn't understand it, and then you had some that did. I have for you this list of just some types of differentiation strategies. Some are assessment strategies that you could build in. To your lesson, maybe some of them could become a daily routine that you could use. No, I don't want you to use all of them.
Right.
But it's just when you're doing your lesson planning and you're collaborating with your team, you can pull this out and it can help you guys plan your lessons and make sure you have some support in there.
Okay.
For other kids. But since we agree about the differentiation, there is an activity that I want us to practice. It's a differentiation activity, and it's called peer coaching.
Oh. Okay.
And so you talked about letting the higher level or the kids who've already mastered assist the kids who haven't. And that's what peer coaching is about. You can use mixed ability kids or heterogeneous. It doesn't matter for peer coaching. But the way this is set up is you have a student A problem and a student B problem.
Okay.
And you have two different abilities. So let's say student A is your student that's mastered and student B has not mastered.
Okay.
Their problem would be enrichment. You would be extending them beyond what the base of the skill is.
Right.
The student B will still be trying to master the skill.
Right.
So they each get their problems, but they take turns coaching the problems. So even though your student, the student that hasn't mastered, you still coach the student that has. They have coaching sheets that go with it. So as student A, the one who's mastered, is working the problem out, and they have to show their work.
Okay.
That's real important for this activity, showing their work. Don't just put an answer on the paper.
Step by step.
Right. The student who hasn't mastered has the coaching sheet in front of them, so they get to check the person's work as they're working, and they have the process and the steps written out for them on the side, so they can say, well, on this part you did such and such. Well, why didn't you do multiplying by 4? Like they have the written out explanation of how to solve the problem
for the person to use as okay.
And so if you don't know how to do it, even if it's a harder problem, talking it out is reinforcing the process for that person who didn't get it. And then they switch roles. And they never have the same problem. They're always working two different problems. Okay. So you don't have to be afraid of a child that didn't master the problem working with someone that's a higher level, because they still have that support.
To help them coach them through the problem. Okay.
And then you're not, the person who's mastered isn't stuck at one level. They get to move to another level because you provide that problem at the level they're on, instead of keeping them low with someone who didn't. So everybody gets what they need. So it's you differentiate, and you get to build in the support, and it's reinforcing what they've learned. Something that I was real big on when I taught math was making sure the students show their work. I can't help your process if I don't see your work, because I don't know what you're thinking. And when you use peer coaching, it reinforces that. Because sometimes they know the process, they just mess up the calculations, but you wouldn't know that if you just see the wrong answer.
Right.
So this is something that I used to use a lot, because I taught accelerated, advanced, and on level. And with that, even though those kids are identified as that, you still have different levels within those groups. So I would definitely have to use this quite often when I saw that there was something going on and kids weren't mastering. And it was it's a reteaching tool too. You know, instead of you spending the whole day just reteaching a whole lesson,
Right.
you know, you can take a few minutes. You can even set it up different in this. Instead of the sheets looking this way, it could just be a worksheet folded in half.
Mm-hmm.
And one side are harder problems, the other side are easier. And then know when it's their turn, you know, they work out their problem. But you still have to provide the coaching sheets for them,
Right.
especially for the kids who don't know.
Haven't mastered.
Right. The ones who have mastered, you may not provide the step-by-step. You might just give them the answer to problem B's. And then they'll explain. But the one who hasn't mastered, you have to give them that coaching support.
Right. So
So
they
what
can
you-
coach them through. I like it. For a number of reasons. One that sticks out first is the fact that they have to show their work because they struggle with, you know, going step by step, showing their work. Because, you know, like you said, when I'm assisting you, I don't know where you went wrong. You don't know where you went wrong because you didn't show your work.
Right.
So doing those step by step processes help them. Okay, I went wrong right here. So going forward, remember not to do X, Y, and Z.
Good. So I'm glad you like my activity because we're gonna try one. We're gonna try to make a couple of problems together
Okay.
that you could use in your room. Actually, I have some. See how that is for you. I have a couple of problems that you could use in your room, and all we have to do is set up the sheets, which I can help you do that too. Go ahead and set the template up since I already have it. Would you like me to do that?
Sure.
So that I could take some of the work off of you, and you just focus on teaching.
Right.
Excuse me. I'll go ahead and set the sheet up with the problems. They're very similar to the ones that you did with Kahoot.
Okay.
They're word problem based and they're rote math.
Okay.
So I have a mixture. I'll set those up for you. But you want to practice one together just to see what it's like?
Sure.
So even though this is not the ones in front of us, this is not unit rate. This is solving equations, but we can just run through one so you can see what this would look like if you had to do it. So I'll give you these coaching sheets. I'll be the student and you can be the coach.
Okay.
And so as I work the problem out, and I'll make sure I make some mistakes because you know I'm perfect, but I'll make some mistakes so you can get a chance to practice redirecting me.
Right.
So step one, I guess I want my variable on one side, but I don't like fractions.
Right.
So I want to get rid of my fractions. So I want to multiply the whole thing by that.
Right. Good.
That's right.
So you multiply each side by 4. 4. 4. Correct.
Okay. So now I need to get my variable on one side. Does it matter which one I move?
No.
Okay. I think I'm going to move the little one.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that. Start off moving the smaller.
Okay, I got 5x minus 4 equals 36. That's right.
Correct.
So now I need to start trying to get this by itself.
Right.
So-
When you say this, what do you mean?
The variable.
Okay, well, first, you want to get rid of what? You combine your
Can I do the
variables.
5?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I gotta move 4.
Correct.
Okay.
You want to combine your constants now.
So am I gonna do plus 4 or minus 4?
We'll do the inverse operation.
Okay.
So the inverse of subtraction is addition.
Thank you. And then that's right.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir. And that's how peer coaching works.
Well, okay. And I like it because, you know, even though you didn't follow the exact steps, I still made sure, you know, okay, that what you were doing was still following along because, you know, there's multiple ways you can solve equations. So, yeah, like you said, it doesn't have to be exact, but, you know, give them in idea of what to do and what to say in case you get stuck.
Yep. So I could have told you what property I was using that would allow me to get rid of that and all that.
Mhm.
But cool. So this is something that you would use?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so I'll email the template to you today with
Okay.
the problems already embedded in it. When do you want me to come back so we can see how this works in your class? Let's pick a date.
Let's say,
You want to do this week or next week?
I'm trying to think because this week, well, today or tomorrow, we're going over the Unit 1 assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think after going over it today or tomorrow, I'm giving a retake Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, let's shoot for Monday of next week.
Would peer coaching be something you can use to go over the assessment, like
True.
what they got
Yeah.
wrong?
It could be. So the problems and the standards that a lot of them got incorrect, they could work. Have them do that between. But the only thing is, I'm starting today.
Let's do it Monday.
Okay.
So we do Monday of next week.
Okay.
There we go. So this is yours. This is your sample,
Okay.
and those are your strategies over there.
Okay.
You have any questions
No,
or concerns? Nothing.
nothing.
Well, thank you, sir, and I look forward to next week.
Thank you.